question, Bert.
Hey, anybody who decides to watch this is RayZor from the Horror Syndicate, and I was sitting here at my computer thinking to myself, I have not done a single live stream in a long time where it was just me talking to you, the the viewer, the Horror Syndicate follower. Even if we don't get very many people coming in to talk, the thing you can ask me any question you want, and I'll try to answer it as best as I can. But in the meantime, I will go over some of the things that we got going on with the Horror Syndicate uh, here in the next few weeks because we have two shows every week, one on Sunday and one on Wednesday, both 8 p.m. East Central Time and 9 p.m. Eastern. But one is the Horror Syndicate Discourse, which is the main show, the big show we do every single Wednesday. And no, that's Sunday. I'm sorry, every Sunday. And we talk about movies, break them down. We just did a whole retrospective on George Romero. And then we got segments and all the different stuff. Coming up this week, we are talking about The Invisible Man for 2020. And I think we all liked it. It was the last movie I saw in the theater before the shutdown. And then the following week, we have Poltergeist. Coming up in August, we're going to do Predator, even though some people may or may not think it's a horror movie. Aliens, which in my opinion is in the same boat as Predator. It may or may not. I don't think this is a horror movie at all. I also don't think Predator is a horror movie, but we're going to talk about it, and we'll talk about that. Aliens, right now, if you follow our 5-star rating system, is number one, which is bullshit. And then we're going to talk about The Wicker Man on August 20th. I moved that around because it's an important movie and we all should talk about it. And then how about Prey from last year, 2022? So that's through August. I have all the way through October. But now the other show we do is called the Horror Syndicate Horror Movie Massacre. And it's basically Seth and I co-hosted together. And yeah, but is it, Sean, is it a horror movie? That's the big question. I don't think it is. Action sci-fi. Anyway, that's just one of those questions you're going to get into. Anyway, we just wrapped up two Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies. So this upcoming week, we're going to tackle not those, these, the beginning and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre from 2003. I just watched these back to back. Last night I watched the beginning first, and I had never done this before because the beginning is a prequel to the 2003 movie, and it works. It works. And honestly, I think I liked the remake a little bit better this time around because I've always been known to be a hater of that particular remake. So that's what Seth and I will be talking about tomorrow. And then next week, we will be talking about Texas Chainsaw 3D and Leatherface. And after we're done with these, we are going to be doing a ranking show of we're going to rank every single Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. Our personal rankings, our slash scores. If you don't know what that is, I'll explain. And then you, the followers, 5-star ratings rankings. The slash score is a score that Seth and I come up with 10 categories. And on a scale of 1 to 10 per category, and then we add it all up. It comes out to a percentage. So yeah, that's by the way, I used the Evil Dead thing because I had nothing else I didn't know what else to use for this, so I used that. Anyway, so after that, we are going to start the beginning the second week of August. We are starting to do all of the Halloween movies. And we're starting with Halloween Ends. I think let me double check my calendar on my phone here. Trusty phone. Halloween Ends is going to be August 9th, then Kills Halloween 2018, and then we'll end August on the 30th, which I think may be a day or is the actual anniversary of the release date of the Rob Zombie movie. And we're going to do both Rob Zombies in one sitting. And then September 6th is Resurrection. Yes, we're going to spend an entire show on Halloween Resurrection. Then H2O, Curse of Michael Myers. The 27th will be The Revenge of Michael Myers. As you can tell, we're going in reverse order. And then going into October, we've got the best of all of the Halloween movies, especially the older ones, with The Return of Michael Myers, Season of the Witch, a fantastic movie that doesn't get enough respect, Halloween 2, and then on October 25th, John Carpenter's Halloween. And then we're going to do a special show on a Tuesday, which is October 31st, the Halloween franchise ranking based on your slash scores, based on our scores, blah, 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 all that bullshit. Your issue with the remake, I assume, is comparing to 1973. No, there's more to it than that. Way more to it than that. And I'll explain that on that show tomorrow. Don't want to give away any spoilers. But back to discourse. So we got through August. In September, we're going to do a kind of a tribute to Tim Burton with Beetlejuice. Edward Scissorhands, September 10th. Ed Wood, not really a horror movie, but it's definitely one that we want to talk about. Ed Wood's a really good movie. And then we'll end the month with a kind of a gothic type horror movie by Tim Burton, Sleepy Hollow, because he does a lot of references, Easter eggs. It's kind of like almost like a Hammer film. So that's going to lead us into our October series, which are Hammer movies. The Curse of Frankenstein, which is a great. First of all, Peter Cushing is one of the best Frankensteins. The Horror of Dracula, The Mummy, Curse of the Werewolf, and then to end October, we are going with The Devil Rides Out. Wild fucking movie. It's wild. I love it. I don't know if you guys have we've done a rating for it yet, but it's a fun one. And then we do have stuff scheduled for the rest of the year. I'm not gonna put it up there because that's a lot to say. A lot going on with the Horror Syndicate, and if you don't follow us, how come you never use punctuations? I've always wondered that. Um, uh, I think the remake is kind of, I barely follows the main storyline of the Friday the Third. I mean, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. If you have not checked it out, check out our rankings for Friday the 13th, Elm Street, Scream. Seth and I did all of those a few months ago. Every single episode for every single one of those movies. And don't forget, if you haven't subscribed to the Horror Syndicate on YouTube, hit the like button. That helps us out every time we do a video. But we do 2 shows a week. Anybody have any questions other than talking about you hating Ed Wood? Ed Wood's a good movie. This movie is really fucking good. It's not a horror movie at all, but we've been known to stray away. Plus, we want to do 4 Tim Burton movies, and I was like, oh, but we do Batman. Nobody's going to want us to talk about Batman. But I'm sure most people that follow Horror Syndicate like 1989's Batman, but I don't know. I think you come at me looking for more horror stuff. I watched Night Riders on Tubi. It was. Did you like it? How can you be lazy about punctuations? It's just like that. Um, I haven't seen it yet. I still got to finish Season of the Witch, and I plan on watching Night Riders at some point. When it comes to watching things, I like older things. I got to be really like wanting to see it, or I'm not gonna enjoy it. Like even sit there and enjoy it, unless it's a horror movie. In horror movies, I'll watch just about anything. In 2019, I went through and watched 500 and let me look. It's 500 plus different, not all the same, because I did watch a lot of the same horror movies, but a lot of different ones. 2019 horror movie. Let's see here. How many did I watch? 522. So I kept track by on Google Docs and wrote down every single horror movie, what day I watched it on. You can't see that. If it just straighten up. Nope, can't see it. But anyway, you can see that I wrote down everything. The very first one I watched in 20. I still keep track of every horror movie I watch, at least if I watch it during the year. I don't keep a track of how many times I watched it, but January 2nd, 2019, The New York Ripper. That was the first horror movie I watched. Then the third, Bay of Blood, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I don't know why I watched those that early. Horror Dracula. I usually watch Italian movies in January. It's really weird. I've noticed that trend over the last 4 years. And then the final film that I watched in 2019 was Terror Train. And I also keep track of how I watched it. If it was Blu-ray, if it was on Shutter, if it was on this, that, or the other. I stopped doing that. But this year so far, I've done 2023. I don't have a goal this year. I had a goal that year. I wasn't dating anybody. I wasn't planning on dating anybody. And I said, you know what? I'm gonna watch as many fucking horror movies as I can. And then by I think it was March, I was like, I'm gonna try to go for 500. I like it, but it's weird. Yeah, I've heard that. Tubi's actually really good. The ads are annoying. Like when I was watching Martin, if you haven't watched Martin, it's on Tubi. It's hard to watch because goddamn ads. So anyway, for this year, I've watched 139 different horror movies. Now they're not all new. It's things I've watched before. Like the very first one I watched this year was Stephen King's Thinner. And January 1st, I watched three movies: Thinner, Hollow Man, and Vampire in Brooklyn, which was new to me at the time. I watched Crimes of the Future, Day Shift, Barbarian, We're All Going to the World's Fair, Slashback, Scare Package 2, The Long Night. That movie could have been good. It had everything going for it, but it was just not good. Werewolf Castle, which was terrible. Blood Relatives was another one that could have been good. Lucio Fulci's Zombie, which is the anniversary today, so you know I'm going to watch it when I get done here. Uh, White Zombie after that. Actually, January 5th, I watched three movies and A Wounded Fawn, which was a new one for me. There are days that I'll just go all out and watch. February 4th, I was sick. I watched Scream 3, 4, and 5. And then the next day, I watched Sick on Hulu and Skinamarink, which is a dump ass movie. I try to watch as many new movies as I can. This year, I've only watched 8. Then I watched Dawn of the Dead, Evil Dead. So far, the last movie I watched was the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2003. And Sean, I will tell you, if you're still out there, I did like it better this time. It's weird. It's like inching closer and closer to me actually just saying, hey, I kind of do like this movie. Um, Let me look at my current list for 20. Yeah, I don't know if you can see it's on my Facebook page. There's my rankings for 2023. Seen 8 so far. Skinamarink is number 8. You can see that on Shutter. Sorry About the Demons is on Shutter. Children of the Corn 2023. I wrote a review on it on the horrorsyndicate.com. How's it going? It's going well. I am going to play a video game after this and watch a horror movie at the same time. Anyway, number 5 is Sick. Number 4 is Megan. Remember Megan? It's already been that long since that came out. Number 3 is Knock at the Cabin. Number 2 is Scream 6. And my favorite of the year so far, and I've only watched these 8, is Evil Dead Rise. And I keep that on my Facebook to keep track. So, the last thing was I should talk about it. Has anybody heard of a website called destroythebrain.com? So they're St. Louis based like me. I would like to actually work with them on something sometime, but they did a late night grindhouse in DePere, Missouri, and they did Reanimator, and they did a great job. The only thing I would complain about is the Reanimator version they showed was here's their little logo. You probably can't see it. Yeah. So they showed the integral cut of the Reanimator, and it's different, and it shows less Barbara Crampton boobs. Not my cup of tea. But check out destroythebrain.com. They do a podcast. They have way less followers than us, so any bit will help them if you could. I'm going to get in contact with the owners, see if we can. I want to do a late night grindhouse. How fun would that be? Um, we did over the weekend. We did a tribute to indie horror. There's a lot of indie horror on Tubi. Sean, a lot of bad movies for you to check out. You can check out a movie called Close Calls, which isn't bad. It's by a friend, Richard Stringham. The Barn Part Two, a lot of stuff. Yes. Yes, interesting. Yes. Anyway, does anybody have any questions for me before I go? I just wanted to kind of go over our schedule and answer any questions, which I really haven't answered any questions because nobody ever asks me questions. Today is the anniversary of Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight. Not my favorite I'm a huge Batman fan. I gave it an 80%. Which you can't see. There it is, 80. Not a big fan. Check out Unparalleled Comics. That's where I write my comics because I write comics. Anything else before I go? No? I'll give it a couple seconds. Remember, tomorrow, Seth and I will be back to talk about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Beginning. That is our show for tomorrow. You guys should all buy Horror Syndicate shirts. They're so cool. And then next week, we're coming back with 3D and Leatherface to round out the series because we already talked about 2022. And then the following week, we will be doing our rankings of all of the, almost said Friday the 13th, Texas Chainsaw Massacres. Let's see. Also surprised. I have not seen Infinity Pool yet. I do plan to. I believe Infinity Pool might be streaming on Hulu now, so I might have lucked out there. Last year, in August, a bunch of stuff started dropping on Shudder and Hulu, and so I got lucky. I ended up seeing over 60 horror movies last year, new for 2022. Pretty interesting. Um, but Beau is Afraid is something I have zero interest in. Um, none at all. For the best horror list. Huh. Oh, okay. So, do you like The Dark Knight, best Batman movie? No, I don't. I have a lot of problems with it. I'll read my statement about why I don't like it if you'd like. Um, I think the best Batman movie ever made is Mask of the Phantasm. Let's see. Let's see. The Dark Knight. It's no secret I'm not a big fan of The Dark Knight. It's a well filmed movie, but I have many issues with that movie overall. Trying to be as objective as I can. Remember, 10 categories on a scale of 1 to 10. I couldn't give casting high due to the fact there is a recast, and Maggie Gyllenhaal was just okay. But the additions of Heath Ledger and Aaron Eckhart were excellent additions. I think somehow Bale got the worst role, or got worse in the role. Sound design in this film, as in with most Nolan films, is awful, and that's true. Christopher Nolan, his films are shit with sound design. There's times that the score is so loud you can't hear the dialogue, and that's true in this one. And then I also say the score is good in The Dark Knight, but my biggest problem is it's always rising. It's building, building, building to nothing. There's no crescendo, which I actually wrote. The score is absolutely terrible. At times it's great, and other times it just doesn't seem to fit the scene. And most times it feels like it's building and building and never hits the crescendo with no payoff. The production design of The Dark Knight makes it look like it's in a different world from Batman Begins, and it's overly Chicago. And I've been to Chicago numerous times, and it just looks like Chicago, and less like its own Gotham City, like Batman Begins. As I mentioned before, it looks more like Metropolis. The Batman suit got one upgrade, making the rest of the suit look like complete shit. The upgrade was the neck, turning the neck. The suit looks like garbage. One thing about the 1989 suit, he was scary because you couldn't tell if it was a man. Segmented armor is a bad look for Batman, and his cowl looks like it's so tight his mouth may pop like a zit. I hate the suit very much. I get Nolan about being grounded, cool, but hide the segmented armor, make him more terrifying. Joker is terrific and steals the entire movie, and now it seems like any Joker is a cheap imitation of Heath Ledger. Phoenix's Joker is kind of different, but similar in many ways. I hate the story at points, especially the Joker's last joke. It wasn't great. The real ending was good with Two-Face and Gordon. Overall, The Dark Knight is fine. Not close to my favorite. I gave The Dark Knight Rises a 77%, and Batman Begins gets an 83. I just think The Dark Knight was a downgrade, and everybody overlooks everything because of Heath Ledger's performance. Oh, it's the greatest Batman movie ever. Why? Because Heath Ledger's performance was so good as the Joker. I mean, it was really good and different, but because Jack Nicholson, like Nate said the other day, played Jack Nicholson in that movie as the Joe in the '89 movie. Yeah, his voice is terrible. It got worse. What's a horror film that's coming soon that you can't wait for? A Haunting in Venice and The Last Voyage of the Demeter look fantastic. So I just saw the trailer for Last Haunting in Venice, and I think that looks interesting for sure. The Last Voyage of the Demeter is absolutely on my list of must-sees. Let me take a look because I believe I saw there's a new one coming out. I can't remember, Pet Cemetery or something like that. There's a new Pet Cemetery coming out, which I'm not looking forward to. But let's see. I still haven't seen The Pope's Exorcist. Dead City. I don't care about that shit. We Have a Ghost. I've heard that's terrible. I don't know. I don't know what else is coming out this year. Insidious. I still haven't seen. I was supposed to go see that today, but I canceled my tickets. Shit. Oh, the new Exorcist movie is supposed to be coming. Batman Returns is my favorite Batman movie. There is nothing here. Yes, good night. Yes, I'm going to probably end this here in a minute to go watch a movie and play some video games. I just beat, finally, Assassin's Creed Unity after having it for nearly a decade. I might play Syndicate again, bouncing around merry old London. Anyway, yeah, so don't forget next week for the Horror Syndicate Discourse, we are talking about a very good movie. Oh, that's 2 weeks from now. Invisible Man, and Seth and I will be back tomorrow with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the beginning, and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre from 2003. And I think my score is going to change on 3. Yes, nice talking to you. Thanks for joining. I hope you like the page. Check out our YouTube, as we've got tons of videos on different horror movies, different topics, all kinds of stuff. Everybody have a great night, and yeah, we'll see you tomorrow. How about that? Me and Seth.
Not a bad question, Bert.